Welcome to Momnesia, Mothering Like a Mofo. I'm sitting here with Krista Garza.
Hello.
And Tjada Butler.
Hey, how you doing, everybody?
Hey, and we got some great topic this week that I think moms of kids of all ages deal with this. And that is trying to find time to maintain friendships, whether it's your kids' friendships or your own friendships as adults or as parents. Trying to find ways to keep in touch with your friends and actually keep those connections going and maintaining them throughout your adult life.
Right.
And I don't, I'm really thinking about this. I find that it's not exclusive to just parents. It feels like because we're parents, but I hear this a lot from friends who don't have kids too, that they have trouble trying to make time, between work and everything else and the energy that you need to go out and spend time with your friends. So have you guys dealt with this at all, or you know what I'm talking about here?
Hasn't everyone? I definitely have had real struggles trying to fit in my daily routine with just my kids' daily routine. It's really, it just takes a toll. Lately, I feel like everybody's saying life gets harder when you get older, and you just really didn't expect it. But I feel like millennials are really seeing the difference. We've been so sheltered to having so much help and, being able to do everything on our own schedules and just a free lifestyle with everything, all technology transforming, making our lives easier. But now as we're adults and we really have to get on our own schedule, and especially when we have kids, we really have to stay kind of disciplined if we want to get everything done. Otherwise, some things just fall by the wayside.
Yeah. And what about you, Krista? What have you experienced as far as this, or has it affected you, or what do you see?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's a little twofold because, not only do I work full time and I'm a mom who has, kids in different activities and things like that. But, also for me, because I can't drive, like that's always kind of been like a challenge. Thank you. Or an obstacle. It's always been a thing for me because it's a lot harder for me to get around on my own. But like, thank goodness there is more options coming now, like Uber and Lyft and things like that. It's a lot easier to find ways to kind of work around those things. But then you pile that on top of like, your daughter has Girl Scouts and there's this event and there's that thing and then there's this other thing that she really wants to go to and then
with that
or sometimes even not even going at all. Yeah. Like you have to find the balance between like, is this something that like I can skip out on because like they're really not feeling good, or am I going to get the judgment from the other person because like they think they're just making it up, or you know what I mean? Like you never know, so you got to find that balance.
Yeah, I would say that would be more challenging to keep your schedule tight. Not being able to drive, you have to go on someone else's timing as well, so you kind of have to sync what you're doing with someone else. So, I mean, trying to find time for any extra, how do you do that?
In regards to saying, like, commenting on how people wonder, are you just making it up or is it legit? But I think that coincides with sometimes people using their kids as excuses for getting out of things, right? Because I think every mom is guilty of that moment where you're just like, that's nap time or something, like I really can't, it's something you didn't want to do. But
and you knew you probably could have pulled it together.
But it gives you that window to get out of it.
And then everyone is forgiving in that instance, so.
Yep. I find, you were bringing up millennials. I find they have a little bit, and the newer generation have a little bit of easier time with keeping in contact with, their friends and stuff because of social media. But I also find it's also a crutch, too, because you feel like, okay, I'm keeping up with my friends on Facebook, so I know what's going on, so I feel involved in their lives. But really, you're not hanging out with them because how many times you see everything everybody else is doing and you think you're keeping up with it, but then you feel like you're doing nothing and feel like I don't feel lonely, but I've heard other people do that. I'm doing way too much stuff to be lonely.
Yeah, keep in mind though too that like Facebook and Instagram and things like that is a lot of what people want you to see. So they'll show the more glamorous thing or the glamorous side or the cute side, you know, if they have kids too. They're going to show more of that rather than, you know, hey, I just woke up and my hair is a mess and, you know, my house is a wreck and, you know, so you also have to kind of keep that in mind too, that like things behind the scenes are not always good as you see on social media.
Yeah, because
so you can't always like feel bad, like, oh, I don't do anything.
I think because as moms, we're always worried and self-conscious about other people critiquing us and judging like our housekeeping styles or, you know, like even though everybody else is dealing with it, I don't understand moms that can keep their houses spotless and immaculate. That is not
24/7.
And I'm like, I've got way too many things going on. And when my daughter's home and stuff, we are, you know, we work on projects together and do so many things together.
Yeah. If it's not a mess, you're probably not doing something.
I'm like, we have clean dishes to eat off of. We're good.
Yeah.
My bathroom and my kitchen are the two things I try to keep clean. The rest of the house, I'm like, you know.
Definitely priority, bathroom and kitchen.
So I just wanted to start out with, too, like, as a new mom, I think all of us have gone through that stage where you're at home now for, you know, your first time. You're being a stay-at-home mom, dealing with those first few months at home with your baby. You're still adapting to taking care of this new life that you're not used to yet. And I think, and while you have friends and family coming over to visit, drop off gifts, or maybe you've got a good support group with your mom or siblings or something coming over to help you with that baby. You still at one point will feel like alone and you're like stuck in a house. Like I had my daughter at the end of December, right? So it's winter, it's snowing outside. I did not want to go driving anywhere with the baby in the car. And I didn't want, you know, so you couldn't go out and go for a walk to the park because it's way too cold outside. And, you know, I'd have visitors on the weekends when people are off school or off of work. But during the week, I was home by myself and you start to feel like isolated. And my daughter's 10 now. So this is like when Facebook was starting to get, you know, so I did have friends on there. And I think that's when I started really going on Facebook. And I think MySpace was the original thing. But once Facebook came, I remember like posting stuff or going on and talking to people online more than I did before because I was at home and it'd like be like 2:00 in the morning and I'm up doing a feeding and, you know, breastfeeding in one arm and like, you know, typing with the other. And,
but, like, let's see what can keep our attention today.
Yes, and this is actually how I ended up becoming friends with my first mom friend.
Okay.
Right? So that was a mutual friend of ours. You know, like we knew each other because, like, not really. I think I may have met her once years ago, but she happened to see on Facebook that I had just had a baby because our mutual friend commented congratulations or whatever on one of the pictures. And she reached out to me because her daughter, she had 6 days before mine. Oh. And so
that's always fun coincidence.
Yeah. So she was like, hey, you know, I saw that you just had a baby. I just had one too. I was wondering if maybe you'd like to get together sometime and talk and hang out, you know, since we're both going through this at the same time kind of thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, that would be fantastic. And it was the best thing to have this mom going through the exact same things I was at the same time. And, you know, the struggles of breastfeeding, how painful it is. Nobody tells you it hurts the first couple weeks until your body adjusts to it. And like just things like that. And that was great.
Nobody talks about what a great thing that is when different moms actually reach out like that. I think that is so great and so humbling that you actually put yourself out there. Like, because it's already hard enough sometimes to approach people and be like, oh, do you want to get together or do this? I mean, I don't know what has seeded this whole like fear of like rejection when it comes to getting together with people. Just maybe because you don't want to appear not as busy as the next person. You want to appear like you're keeping up with everything that you should be doing. But just the fact that you kind of just put yourself out there and kind of see who might be going through the same things as you do and actually putting yourself out there to connect I think that's pretty awesome. And we need to do more of that. Yeah. Especially as moms.
I'm going to throw that challenge out there to anybody, you know, listening to the podcast. I think that we should each take initiative. If you see a new mom out there, you know, say, you know, just reach out, or a mom that has a child the same age as yours, just reach out and be like, hey, you know, I noticed we're, you know, have kids the same age, or, you know, a child or a new baby or whatever. And or I've been there. And if you need somebody to talk to, because I know how hard it is, how much like would that make you rest easy and take
Right.
the weight off your shoulders as a new mom? How would it have helped you? Maybe going out and helping someone else.
Yeah.
Krista, I can tell you've got something to say and toss in here.
Go ahead, Krista.
I do.
That's really a good thing, to do that. Oh, thank you.
I do actually have a really nice story. So, someone who has kind of become like one of my best friends. We joke around that we're married and that she's my wife and I'm her wife.
You guys aren't the only ones. I've heard a lot of people do that. That is just a good way to just like let your walls down with your friends.
It is.
Everything.
Because, we literally tell each other everything. So this is how it started. Okay. So she actually started out being my boss. Okay. And we stayed friends for a while and, we'd text and, cause she lived very far away. She lived out in Carpentersville and I live in Aurora. And so we very rarely got to see each other after we stopped working together. It was very, very rare. But we would still text every once in a while, hey, how you doing? Whatever, reach out on Facebook, those kinds of things. And then when I found out I was pregnant, I was like, well, I want to tell people, but this really isn't something to tell over text message. So I called her and she answered and I was like, well, I have something to tell you. And it's definitely not something to like tell you over text. So here I am. And she's like, okay. And she goes, wait a minute. Are you going to tell me that you're pregnant? And I was like, yeah. She goes, funny story. I had my phone in my hand to call you and tell you the exact same thing. So we literally told each other the same day that we were pregnant. And so that kind of like, it bonded us. So even though she was far away, we would text every single day. And because our due date was literally like within a couple days of each other. And it was so nice, even though like I couldn't physically be around her. Like we got together a couple times, but she lives so far away. It's hard. So we would literally text every day and be like, hey, how are you? This is what I'm going through. This is what I'm going through. Da, 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 da. And then, we would find so many similarities and differences. Well, the best part of this whole thing, we ended up going into labor on the same day too. Our kids
were each other's support system.
Our kids were literally born hours apart.
Oh, that is fantastic.
And to this day, it's 9 years later, because, it happened while we were still pregnant. So it's been 9 years. And to this day, we still talk every single day.
See, that's what I mean. Like, it's important that you reach out when you think that you can, too. Like, it's sort of an unlikely pair. Not really. I know kind of a few boss and employee relationships that, like, start off just as boss and employee, but you end up becoming really close. Like my mom and her boss, they're, like, unusually close. They just got back from Seattle, actually. But, no, you never know who you're going to connect with. So, like, back with what Jinx was saying about, reaching out. And if you see another mother and you think you're going through the same thing, there's always something that there's usually something you notice when you see someone else who's going through what you're going through. You usually kind of notice, like, oh, they have the same bottles as you, or there's something there that can spark up a connection, and you never know what you might have to offer or what that person might have to offer you. So, I mean, just like you and your boss, like you guys ended up being completely the same in your, I don't know if you guys were just together so much, your babies got on the same page. Maybe. So it's just...
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's what I think.
So that brings me to my next topic. So you develop these friends when you're pregnant, that you have things in common with, and you got your babies growing up, or you join mom groups with your toddlers for play dates and stuff, and you have those friends. But eventually your kids start getting into things like going to preschool or regular, kindergarten stuff. And so it becomes, at least for me, I found it harder to keep in touch with friends, even that had kids my daughter's age or close to it, because all of a sudden, I have one friend that lives like an hour away. And when our kids were, our kids are 9 months apart. And at first, or at least her oldest, mine are 9 months apart, and then she's got a younger one. But we used to get together like once a week or every other week, and her over by her, over by me, and just let the kids play, and we'd sit and talk and have coffee, spend the day together usually, because it was an hour drive. We try to make it, a full day thing if possible, or afternoon, and like, or go to the zoo or whatever. But once our kids both started school, it became like, oh, I don't, it's like now you got, even in preschool, you like that's half of the day. And it's like by the time you get out there, it just became harder and harder. And now I see them like twice a year, and it like kids' birthday parties kind of thing. So that became harder. Once your kids, it's hard to keep up though, unless they go to the same school or something, you're on the same schedule. Mm-hmm. It's really hard, even when you've been friends before you had kids. Much less keeping in contact with your friends that don't have kids, which we'll get into in a little bit.
And that's sad, too, sometimes, because, like, you would expect to be closer friends with people who you were friends with before you had kids. And then, on top of that, you kind of want to see those people and how they grow and develop after having kids. And not only that, you'll want your kids to kind of grow up and be together, but that's unlikely, and it's rare, and it's probably very special when that does happen, because I still wonder about a lot of my friends who were having kids at the same time as I was. Like, me, when I had my son, a lot of my friends were also having kids at the same time. I don't know. It was a baby boom.
That seems to be how it happens.
Yeah, but I don't really talk to very many of them at all. I can think of maybe one person who I've, like, talked to regularly over the years and watched her kids grow up.
And I think part of it might be one of the factors is the way we deal with friends and who we have as friends and how we get along, or the relationship as friends changes based, once you become parents, you have a different parenting style or different priorities. And so, like, one person might be super into having their kid involved in every possible, like, thing or whatever, and another parent who might be like, no, we're going to sit at home and do art projects. Like, my daughter does a lot of activities, but a lot of them are at home, or, like, people could come over and we can go to the park or going places. We like to experience things, as opposed to, she has done organized things through the park district and whatnot, but usually it's more, we decide we like unstructured things, like where we can kind of make our own, like, activities and do our own, but we're creative types, me and my daughter, so it makes sense for us, where other people, I think, need to have, like, they need somebody else to come up with the ideas for them, kind of thing. So I think that makes a difference in how we're able to maintain friendships too, because if you have different parenting styles, it's really hard to keep that connection too. So it's like, a lot of times my friends that do have kids that I'm friends with, that I still hang out and talk, we tend to have a more in sync kind of style to it.
Right. Mm-hmm. I think some of it also has to do with even just, like, yes, kids, but also, like, family dynamic too, because, if you're like me, who my husband has a huge family, huge cousins and uncles and aunts, and I feel sometimes like there is a party every weekend, and then it's like all these other kids, and so it's hard because it's like, family is really important, so you don't want your kid to, like, miss out on actually spending time with their cousins or other kids their age. So you kind of end up missing out on, like, some of your friend things because you have to, like, balance that with other family obligations too. Because they are just as important. I see things all the time. They're like, oh, your cousins are like your first friends and this and that. So it's like, there's always something going on between, your activities and somebody else's activities and distances and things like that. Like the friend I was talking about before, she lives very far away. So it's really hard because I feel like, every time I say, hey, we gotta get together, it's like, okay, well, this date's good for me. Oh, well, I'm sorry, I have a family party that day, or like vice versa, So it's very difficult to actually physically get us together in the same room. I think it's been like 2 years since I've actually physically seen her, but I still feel very close to her, and I still tell her everything. But it's hard to balance all those things.
All right, I see, Tjada, you have something to put in there.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I guess you can also chalk it up to the change just being another part of life, just another stage that you go through as you get older and change. It's not necessarily, I know I mentioned it as a sad thing. It is kind of sad, but I guess that's good that we have, like, social media to kind of fill in the gap there. I don't know. Even though we're all addicted to it, I think a lot of us find reasons to, steer away from it. But I mean, the good thing is that we do get to connect with other people, because like when you have kids, you're going to want to change up your style. You know, you think about your older friends and the way you used to do things, and you change it for that kid. And like you were saying, you want to teach the values to your kids, like your cousins are your first friends, you know, this is your family, you know, you just have different priorities. And it's not that we're really shutting people out, but it's also good, to find new people to connect with and find new people who are sort of in your same parenting style, just so that you keep your kids on the track that you know that's going to be successful for them. You know, I guess it's not always such a horrible thing not to stay attached to the same people, although it is cool when you like run into people that you haven't seen in a long time and just kind of catch up. It's a good thing.
Oh. And this brings us to our next topic, and having to do with this, but it's maintaining early childhood friends once our kids start getting involved in different interests and sports and stuff. So as our kids get older, they start to develop their own interests and things. And so the kids they've been friends with since birth or kindergarten or whatever, I think we all have kids at that age now, 8 to 10, where they're starting to like either join soccer teams or, you know, or book clubs or whatever it is that they're into. But their best friends from kindergarten might not be involved in those same things. So now they're getting torn in different directions because they want to do their interests, but then they still want, you know, trying to find time for play dates amongst all the other family things. So this week, I have my daughter's best friend's mom and I have become really close friends since they became friends our kids became friends in kindergarten. And luckily, her mom and I both clicked, and we've been, you know, we try to meet up for coffee as often as possible, you know, like once or twice a month, if not every week yet sometimes. And then we keep up on our kids and talk about what it's, you know, Sam say at school, what's Veronica say, and try to get the story of what's going on, because your kids only tell you so much, and it keeps us both up to date. And also dealing with the same struggles and teachers. And the funny thing is, our daughters are both in 4th grade now. They were only in the same class in kindergarten. They've not been in the same class at all since then, but they've still managed to maintain that friendship, and which is amazing, you know, like for kids, because, you know, usually it's like whoever you're in the class with, but somehow they've managed to maintain that friendship. It's been like 3 months since the last time we had coffee together, at least, because I've been so involved with the other stuff that I've been starting to do, and she's, you know, and she works from home, but still she has me, like every time I would be free, she'd have like a conference call that she had to be on, you know, so we finally got together for lunch this week, and it was like the best thing ever. I missed her so much.
It's like finally a mommy break.
Yes, and we haven't had the kids get together for a play date since it was nice out before. So now it's like trying to get, you know, like our kids together for something, but it's hard, and and it's like you want to help your kids maintain those friendships, because that's going to help them especially they're getting close to junior high age. Yeah. So I don't know what are you guys doing? Are you guys seeing that same struggle with your kids now as they're getting older, different?
Yeah.
Or
I guess I could too. How about you? What's Adira?
Yes and no, because I'm very fortunate that two of my neighbors in my own little unit, I guess their kids are exactly the same age as my daughter. So they've actually never been in the same class together, but they still like hang out after school and stuff. In my case, though, I feel like as my daughter has gotten more into activities, at least as far as like if we're going to isolate like school friends, it's helped her make more friends rather than like just the neighbors upstairs. I definitely get along with the people in my building, and they're very sweet, and, you know, we'll have coffee and stuff like that every now and then. But like it's helped me. It's helped me personally to like get involved with the Girl Scouts and stuff, and I feel like I'm starting to like make friends by doing that, because that's kind of my outlet, like right here, other than like hanging out with you guys. Yeah. So, you know, and then I do have some other like mommy friends that I do hang out with, but I mean, really, I've always just been the type of person like. I have this small handful of friends, and these are the people who I like really hang out with all the time. Mm-hmm. And then there's the handful that you kind of like hang out with some of the time. Like, it's nice when you get to see them, but they're not kind of like that core group of people. And sometimes that changes, though. Sometimes it changes and evolves, and like the people from the other group come to the first group, or vice versa. So
kind of mix.
Yeah. But I in my case, I feel like her being involved in activities and things has helped me make more friends. More mommy friends.
And those kinds of groups, like when the kids do like soccer and especially Girl Scouts, I think those are great for building good relationships, solid relationships, because the core of what they're together for are things that are so positive and everything. It helps them kind of grow and develop. And like, I mean, I guess my kids have had some of the same friends. I've had this one close friend of mine, and we both had our kids around the same time. It was like I had a kid, then she had a kid, then I had a kid, then she had a kid. She's got 3, and I've got 4. And so they kind of grow up like cousins and everything like that. And so it's good to see her with those people, those types of friends, you know, people who I know are long lasting, you know, iron sharpening iron type of friends. But with the new friends and the activities, it is sort of sometimes a struggle. My kids have been in, well, I guess for my son, he's been in probably like 3 school districts because, you know, just growing and, you know, getting established in life, we've had to move around. So watching him kind of interact with different people has been different, a different experience than watching my daughter. Now, my daughter, she went to Girl Scouts and she thrived, and I see her on the playground selling silly slime and, you know, building relationships right now and learning like these are acquaintances and these are friends and this is family. And, you know, I love to see her doing things like that. But then my son, he does have a business mind too, from just kind of meeting friends and just being around all of my different like activities, like we volunteer and do different things. So, but yeah, I mean, as far as him, boys, hey, they have a tough time when it comes to making friends. So, you know, my focus has been a lot on that. And maybe that's one reason why maybe I only stay in contact with a few close-knit friends. But then I love to come and do other things on the side and, you know, get involved with other people. But yeah.
And then that's another thing. So we try to help our kids with their friendships and getting play dates and stuff together. And it's great when your friends, or you can find they find friends with parents that you can connect with and be friends with, like my daughter's best friend's mom. You know, that's great. But also we have our friendships with people that don't have kids, right? Or our close friends that we had from before we had kids, or maybe or got after. I was just commenting earlier, my 3 closest friends, I realized, and this never dawned on me, really, I never even thought about this until today. My 3 closest friends do not have kids.
And that actually doesn't surprise me about you at all, Jinx. You have this, like, free spirit, like, and Veronica's along for the ride, you know? I really see her as a little independent. She's like a little adult. If anyone's ever met her, that's exactly how she is, and it doesn't surprise me.
I was going to say the same thing.
It definitely doesn't.
I think she qualifies as one of my friends, although I get to tell her what to do.
Exactly. You're still boss at the end of the day.
But yeah, it's fantastic. But yeah, I've got mom friends. I've, you know, obviously you ladies, and then, you know, and Rachel and a couple other, and, you know, my sister Rachel too.
But you're bonded, closer friends that you
my close friends that I
cry on their shoulder.
The ones that I tell everything to, and they all know my daughter, and like all, you know,
it's their baby too.
Exactly. You know, and so they you know, and they'll be honest with me about like this stuff and how they see things. They don't try to cookie code stuff or whatever, but they also don't try to tell me how to parent either. You know, so it's pretty cool. One of my friends, he is like a father to another mutual friend's son because his dad was kind of absent. So he considers her son to be kind of his son, but you know, even though he
that's the running
has,
joke.
you know, so he has that kind of experience to bring to the table, but he's not
doesn't have that
That friend is also a mutual friend of mine, and he Adira calls him Uncle Stan. He is her uncle,
and he's great with
and
kids,
he treats her as if he is her blood uncle, you know. I mean, and he's one of my best friends.
Yeah, that's
so it's like we've just always had that bond, and it never went away. It's awesome. He's such a great support. He does have that experience.
Yeah. That's good that you guys kind of can lend him your children. I
can't see him taking Veronica for the day, but I can't see very many people taking Veronica for the day.
Oh my gosh, he's got
the not surviving. Anyways.
Oh boy, I mean, yeah, she's tough.
She's tough, and I love that. But like, I don't know. I do feel like that really does kind of prepare a guy, you know, because guys, they don't have it. Sometimes they don't. I won't say they don't always have it, but sometimes they don't have it coming out of that like, oh my gosh, overwhelmed with like mother and fatherhood, you know. So, I mean, when it comes to somebody who actually can be good with kids, I mean, if you guys approve of him, I mean, I bet that's going to be something that makes him a great father if he makes that choice one day.
And it's funny, it helps when your friends are friends with each other too. So like Krista has a mutual friend in Stan, and Stan I knew from years before a few years from before I got pregnant, and actually worked with me, was, you know, my assistant at the studio I used to manage, and so that's how we became friends. And he was there from like when I was pregnant and like, or when I had my miscarriage prior to being pregnant the second time. And then, you know, so he's been around like the entire time. And then my other best friend, Chris, is friends with Stan now too. I met her right after I got pregnant with my daughter. So and we actually started becoming closer friends like after my daughter was born. Like she would come over and hang out all the time. It was one of those people that you meet and you immediately bond with and click. And so we've been like super close since the day we met, kind of thing, and just have gotten closer, even though, you know, it's like usually when you have a kid, that's when you stop seeing people and hanging out. And for us, it was the opposite. It was kind of like what got us to hang out and brought us together. Yeah. And then I also met my other close friend, Rebecca, through Stan. But the four of us get together like at least once a month, if not more often, to hang out. Because that's like, we just have those personalities that just kind of like we click and like we will go along with whatever crazy idea that we come up with. And usually it's me and Chris that have the crazy ideas, but Stan and Rebecca will come up with them too. But like we're always like, yeah, let's do it. Like Oasis Frogger. No.
Oh my gosh. Do we want to explain that one?
That's for another show.
Other opposite. But yeah, and you know,
it's a great road trip for kids though, once I explain. But that'll be another day.
Exactly. That's a beautiful thing.
But you know, Stan is actually somebody we've known each other since we were kids. Like literally since we were 14. So it's been a really long time. And, you know, there are just a couple of those friendships that it's like no matter what changes in your life or who else you meet, like it's always nice to just have that constant and the person that grows with you. Like whether they choose to take a different path or not, like, I mean, he presided over my wedding. Like he's been there through every step of the way.
And so welcome to Stan, his amazing friend hour here.
I'm talking not just him.
I think I know what I'm doing for Stan's birthday next year. I'm just going to put something together with the audio.
A little mashup sweeper.
Don't you feel like
him? I feel like I know the guy already.
I'm like, don't you feel like you should say something nice about him next year?
I might have named the guy.
I want to be friends with Stan.
About, like, I mean, he's just a really good example of that type of friendship that can go through anything. And it's nice to have, even as you change. And, you know, we were talking about, even in previous episodes, have we talked about how, like, our parenting styles grow and evolve and things like that. And it's nice to just have those friends that you can count on that, you know, you're having a bad day and you can call them. And like, I know I can call the friend I was talking about earlier and be like, oh my gosh, this is what happened to me today. Oh my gosh, my daughter is doing the same thing. How about yours? You know, what are you doing? You know, and then.
Well, on that note, have you ever had like a friend who, after you had a kid, you just felt like they totally were just like,
Bye, see ya.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask that. So
that's probably why you value it so much when you find a friend who may not even have kids but is still willing to be there. Like some of my friends who don't have kids were there for me more, Yep.
Yeah.
But I've had instances where I felt like, people are like, can't you get a babysitter?
Yeah, right? Or do you know how much it's finding someone you trust and that you can afford.
Exactly.
And it costs you money to go out just to go out, not including how much you're paying for a quality babysitter.
Triple. Right.
Yeah, I'm my cousin Sarah used to be my babysitter, and then she went away to college, and then it was like, oh, crikey, who do I trust?
Little cousins.
And as we've explained, Veronica is a unique character. and it's more like, I don't trust Veronica. Than I trust the other person. It's who can I trust to be able to handle Veronica and not come home and find them handcuffed in the shower or something? Because that's I don't know what she's going to do.
I'm picturing Boss Baby with Veronica's face.
Yes! Me too. It's totally the image I get. But, you also find, some people, I had this happen with a couple people who literally, because I was actually one of the first people in my group of friends to, have a kid. There was, a couple others, but I was still, one of the first. And there were just people who we didn't, fight. It wasn't oh my God, you have a kid, so bye. It was just, they literally didn't know how to handle it.
They slowly
and then they slowly just kind of, back off. And it's not that, they don't care about you or you don't care about them. They back off just because, they just don't know what to do.
They're excited that you had a child, happy for you, and then they just slowly, they don't know, whether to invite you to places or if you don't want to do anything or, and you slowly lose contact with them. And that's why I find it really ironic that my friends don't have, I do have friends that don't have kids that, felt so wayside because, the only times I saw them was when we were getting together to go drink and stuff like that, And not that I'm a partier kind of person. I'm
but
the girl who just met up with her friends at the bar last night, but I didn't even have a drink. I had a glass of water the whole time I was at the bar. And then we went on a road trip and played Oasis Frogger. No, but
Oasis Frogger, I love it.
I do the crazy stuff when I'm completely sober and haven't had a drink, so that's why I don't need to.
We're high off life here. Okay. But no, that is just a weird thing. But I guess we all have our things that, when someone decides to veer in a different way of life, and if it doesn't fit into our little thing, we do kind of shy away as people. But it's just weird when it's over a baby. I mean, we were all babies. Somebody took care of you at some point,
But it's even hard when you have friends that have kids. I have another friend, I actually just saw her yesterday because I was taking her son's 3-month birthday pictures yesterday, or 3-year birthday pictures yesterday. And she's also got a 6-year-old and who's almost 7. And so our kids, our daughters are about almost 3 years apart. And so you would think that we would hang out more or something because we both have kids, but I hardly ever see her. And she always feels so bad because she always contacts me when it's time for pictures and realizes that she hasn't texted me or had time, we haven't hung out since the last time she had pictures done. And she always feels bad, but I'm I totally understand. I'm we both have things going on and work and kids and she lives in the city on the north side. And so she's, but she works out in the suburbs and but she's busy. She's got her kids' things and her daughter's now in school and and Veronica's in school. So it's hard to get together and plan things. And so I totally understand. It's I'd love to hang out with her more and see her more, but I'm not upset with her that I only see her when she comes in for pictures because we still talk, and at least she's still thinking about me because she's bringing her kids in. So, there's those dynamics where, some friendships you don't have to see each other all the time. Right. You still know that they care, and it's and it's not a problem. And and I used to live with her too. We were roommates a long time ago.
You have to be understanding.
Oh my gosh, that was almost 20 years ago. But no, not even. It was 17.
Don't give me those extra 3 years.
Yeah, no, it was 99 to 2000. That's when we were roommates. So it was almost 20 years ago.
But, wait, let me think.
So we stood up in each other's weddings, but we don't, so we don't see each other as much, but it's like, I understand. It's like, that's another thing as a parent, you gotta, you understand when people get too busy. And if you don't, then you're being way too judgmental of somebody else, and you gotta make that room. And if there's anybody out there listening that doesn't have kids, and you have friends that you feel like dropped you because they had a child, they're not meaning to. It's just, it becomes a little bit of a struggle. And sometimes we just get so tired that we forget to reach out and connect with somebody and see if they want to hang out. So
don't be afraid to be the one to reach out.
Yeah, so that's my challenge to everybody this week. I'm going to throw that out there. I want everybody, whether you have kids or don't, I want you to try and reach out to somebody that does have kids, because I guarantee you they would love to hang out with you. They just forget because they're so wrapped up and involved with what their kids are doing. Reach out to them and try to see if they just want to talk and just meet for a cup of coffee or go out for a slice of pizza, something. It doesn't matter. Like, if you both have kids, meet somewhere where the kids can, go to the park and while you guys sit and drink a cup of coffee, something. This needs to happen. Somebody needs to make a coffee shop with a playground attached to it.
That's exactly. I've always thought that. Oh my gosh. Be like, forget McDonald's. No, McDonald's has a monopoly.
Well, that's Momnesia Cafe.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Please don't forget your kids.
Giving away secrets here.
Please don't forget your kids. That'll be our slogan.
You don't even have to worry about. You don't even have to worry about your mom date interfering with your own schedule. I mean, half the time they're going to probably have to really work to actually carve some time out of their schedule. So go ahead and go for it.
Yep,
that'll boost their day.
So whether somebody with a newborn baby to they have kids in school, I want everybody to try and reach out to another a parent out there. That's everybody's challenge. Let us know how it goes and what it works. What works for you guys. Reach us at MomnesiaMOFO@gmail.com, or you can find us on Facebook on Momnesia Mothering Like a Mofo on Facebook. So and feel free to comment. We have a discussion group on there. You guys can join too. So please feel free to do that. I love this topic. I feel like this is something that moms everywhere or parents everywhere can relate to. Yeah. Anything you guys want to add?
I was just going to say, it just makes me even more grateful that we all clicked. The four of us. I know
she loves us, folks.
I know Farrah's not here today, and we love her.
I know. I'm missing her on this topic right now. Miss her,
but just meeting the three of you ladies and just hanging out with you and getting to know you, and this also kind of goes back to what we were talking about before about if you see a mom, that's kind of what I love about our podcast, and I know we kind of touched on it in episode 2 as well, that I love the fact that we are different moms coming from different scenarios, different points in our lives, but the reason we clicked is because there are those similarities. As moms, you wouldn't think about it oh, that person's so different. But really, when you sit and you talk about it, oh my gosh, I went through that same thing, or I'm going through that same thing that person went through. And that's what I love about us. And I want to see us grow, and I want to see it become bigger. I want to start the conversation and bring moms of all different kinds together. And I think it's beautiful.
And our listeners can help us. Yeah, I was going to say, and our listeners can help us with that. Go like our Facebook page, reach out to us. Let us know what topics you want to hear about, want to hear us discuss, and so that you don't feel like you're the only one dealing with it. Let us know your Momnesia moments.
Yeah.
Have you ever walked into a room and just forgotten why you were there or what you were doing or who you were talking to?
You are listening to Comic Grounds. Or not Comic Grounds. You're listening to Momnesia Mothering Like a Mofo.
Tune in to Momnesia Mothering Like a Mofo, Mondays at 1 with Krista and Jinx, as they discuss everything they've forgotten they know about parenting.
I think that right there, live on air. It's your Momnesia Mofo.
And maybe you can share your stories too. Momnesia Mothering Like a Mofo, Mondays at 1 on Evolution Pop.
Speaking of Momnesia moments, hello, we totally forget about it.
Forget about it.
So,
that's ready.
So, do you guys have any forget about it moments from the past week, or that you any of you guys want to talk about?
Mine is shameful. Shameful.
Well, now we got to hear it.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, nobody wants to go first?
You were going first here.
God.
Everybody wants to hear yours now.
Well, I mean, it's kind of, I don't know if it's really even that great, but hey, let's see what you all think of it. I have been dying to see Avengers Xfinity. Too much Comcast. Oh my God.
I said the same thing yesterday. Like, I said the same thing. I'm like, yes. Oh my gosh.
That's a double.
It's where Comcast comes in and takes over the Avengers series. So, and like, it takes over the cable. They've decided half of the cable needs to be cut out of the world. There's too much cable.
Too much.
Wait, I don't think Comcast would ever say that.
Oh my gosh. Exactly. That's not where they're going, not where they're headed until they have a box in every home. But no, so I went to see the movie and it was packed, you guys. I totally forgot to reserve my seats. I mean, they have all these cool features where you can reserve your seats, you can get your movie tickets like a week in advance, but I just knew because when we went to go see Black Panther, we were so early, everything was great, everything worked. I got my tickets like the day before, and we had amazing seats. It was just a good thing, and I'm like, every time I go to see my superhero movies, I'm going to have the best experience or whatever. No, not this time. We ended up sitting in the very first row. You guys, it was just cramped. People were trying to move their seats around just so that they could sit next to their loved ones. And about maybe I was so into it. I was up. I was fired up. And probably like...
This is for Infinity War. Not Black Panther.
Not Black Panther, yeah, for Infinity War. Thanks, Jinx, for bringing me back on that one. But at... probably like 2 or maybe almost 2 hours in the movie, I just completely have a huge mom moment and knock out. My boyfriend was trying to wake me up, but he told me after the movie was over that I was sitting there, mouth hanging open, and just straight, I needed a nap. It was so horrible. It was so sad. It's like I don't do stuff like that around all these teenagers too.
That happens to me sitting on the couch or watching something on Netflix. All of a sudden, it's like the end credits, and I'm like, "Wait, what? What I just missed?"
I'm so mad at myself because I just wait for these movies to come out. I mean, I'm behind probably like everyone, and this one was supposed to be the one that beat all others, the one that beats Star Wars in the box office.
It's the lead out from the past like 10 years.
And it's totally, every superhero gets highlighted, and this is not a geek show. We're not like, we are talking. We're moms. We talk.
I know. We have to keep up with this stuff for our children.
This is like moms talking over coffee. The topics just go all over the place. And so, this happens. So, yes. But no, the characters, every character gets highlighted to a certain extent, and like, I don't feel like anybody just kind of got pushed to the side. Right. It's just there to be there kind of thing. So, but it was a good movie, and you missed out on a lot.
I know. I was shocked at that one.
Do you even know who died in it or no?
I got a little bit filled in, but I guess that's just the way they're going to get me.
And you don't know if they're going to make it. Yeah, I'm going to say you don't even know who's making it up or like what. like they just tell you.
Oh no, we're going to have to put a spoiler warning in that one.
Spoilers.
We can't release.
How is there spoilers? Nobody
but
died. Everybody turns into butterflies. It was amazing.
Just wait.
It's just butterflies everywhere. It was like beautiful and like just in 3D. They just come at you off the screen. Okay, it's the butterfly war.
Moving on. I just want to forget about that and pretend that didn't
never happen. That's the one time you hope you get a Momnesia moment.
Exactly.
Like just wipe it from your memory. Exactly. I think all moms like they forget about like my mom. Me and my brother and sisters will bring up something that happened when we were kids, and my mom would be like, "That never happened. I don't remember it. That never happened." Like, so all 4 of us, just imagine the same thing. Okay?
I love it. My lovely mom, right in time for Mother's Day.
Veronica does that to me now too. Like she'll say something. I'll be like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "Don't you remember that?" And I'm like, "No." And she's like, "Yeah." And we'll argue over whether stuff happened. I'm like, I don't know if she's making it up or because she's not the kind of kid to really, like, if she's making stuff up, she makes sure that she's telling a story, and they're so ridiculous that it's like her telling stories to be funny and not to like try and get something past you. Whereas like, but even me, I'll like go into tangents where I start making stuff up, and you're like, wait, is that real? But no, she's just like totally serious, and I'm like, I have no idea.
Right? Oh
like,
my god!
I'm like, is that real? I don't know.
Oh, it should be an interesting show when we get them into the studio.
Oh my gosh, yes. Krista, do you have a Momnesia moment from this past week or anything?
Oh, I sure do. Oh boy. Okay, so have you ever had that moment where you like walk into a room and you forget why you walked into a room?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that was me all week. So I was talking with another friend of mine, and actually we were talking about nerdy stuff. It wasn't Infinity War, but we were talking about something else nerdy. I even forget what that subject is. But I know it was nerdy, and then like I thought about something that I wanted to tell him, and I tried to find him. He's a friend of mine from the campus, and I went to go find him and tell him something. And it's been almost 2 weeks now. I still, to this day, cannot remember what it was I was trying to tell him. And then this week, I was helping, because for those of you who do not know, I'm actually an employee at the Illinois Media School where we record this podcast. And so
Illinois Media School.
So I was trying to help out with like some social media things, because we were trying to, get our presence more known on like Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, those things. So I was trying to help come up with these ideas, and I came up with this idea, and I should have written it down, and I didn't write it down, and then I'm sitting there and I'm like, I have another idea. I don't remember what it is.
And now we'll never be famous. It's all your fault. No,
I did eventually remember it.
Krista.
I did eventually remember it, but it took a while. It took a good 2 hours.
Oh my goodness.
So there you go. That's my Momnesia moment.
Mine this week is just forgetting what day it is. Like all like every day, it's been like, wait, like going like, oh no, I'm doing this, doing this on Friday. And you mean tomorrow? Oh yeah, tomorrow's Friday. Like that kind of thing. Yeah. Or like this morning, even though like yesterday I kept saying I need to go home because I got to get sleep because I have to do, this video project in the morning. I had to go be somewhere to go film some stuff this morning. And I still woke up this morning going, I get to sleep in. I don't have to do anything today. It's so nice. Wait, no. Like I need to get up and start getting ready to go.
It's just Wednesday.
Yeah, and like that's just been my day. Is just like totally just not keeping track of what day it is. Like, oh my gosh. Just trying to stay organized. And it doesn't help that I've got like 5 things on my plate that I'm trying to be boss lady for. So yeah, I'm like, but I like to stay busy. All right. But anyways, we want to hear your Momnesia moments. Feel free to go ahead and contact us at MomnesiaMOFO at gmail.com. That's Moms Overcoming Fundamental Obstacles for anybody who doesn't know what MOFO stands for yet. We're not like trying to swear, throw off those people that don't like swearing, because I'm not me and Tjada, we don't swear very often, if at all.
We just have to get balanced out by me who
and Vera.
Too much.
And Vera, don't leave that one out.
Yes. If she were here, she'd totally be like, yeah. But,
she would.
We just straighten it
so
out.
please don't be turned off by the MOFO. That means that's our acronym for Moms Overcoming Fundamental Obstacles, and just so we can sound as strong and powerful as we want to be.
As we feel.
Yeah, we feel like we are. That's like we are empowered, and we want to help other moms feel empowered and stronger by working together to help overcome these obstacles that we deal with as parents. So day to day. So we want to hear your challenges. What do you need help with? What do you want to hear us talk about? Reach out, MomnesiaMOFO at gmail.com, or go ahead and like us on Facebook, and feel free to comment there. We want to hear from you. So get out there and like us, and we'll be back soon with our next podcast or next episode. We're going to be doing one on health, eating, healthy lifestyles as parents, and are helping our kids be healthy. We also have one, we're going to come up with some, into school, you got springtime, spring fever coming in, and also like, what are we going to be doing with our kids this summer to keep them occupied? Mm-hmm. Or maybe if you are planning a road trip, you can come up, my daughter and I take tons of road trips, so I'm sure we'll have plenty of advice for anybody out there that is wanting to get out there with their kids and plan some road trips and fun activities this summer. So we want to hear what you want to hear talk about, and or want to hear us talk about, and we'll be back hopefully next week. Until then, keep on mothering.
Keep it on.